Hello and welcome to Innovation with Leadership series by ETBFSI. In this series, we bring the top voices of the industry who are transforming the lending landscape through new age solutions and innovation. Well, in today's episodes, we have someone who is working to uplift the underserved communities through various new fintech and last mile connecting solutions. Please join me to welcome Mr. Sameer Mathur, Managing Director at Roinet Solutions. Hello sir and welcome to Innovation with Leadership series by ETBFSI. Firstly, thank you so much for giving your valuable time and talking to us. Let's begin the conversation with some basic. Tell us about the banking correspondent and specifically how do you select and onboard them and what kind of training and guidance that you provide to them?
Yeah. So when it comes to selection of partners, it's a very important exercise because typically what we're really doing is that partner becomes the banker of choice for that particular locality he's being, he's building up his business in. So the process we follow is that we have a team in place which goes to each of the respective locations, does a check in terms of credibility of various entities, micro retailers, then identifies people whom they believe have got the credibility and the infrastructure to get started. Post doing that, as a matter of fact, in the interim, when we're looking at the KYC of these partners, we look at things like their Aadhaar check, the various PAN card checks. We also look at things like, at times also looking at their legal records and police verification checks. So there's a very due diligence process which is followed. Once a partner comes on board, then there is a lot of focus given on onboarding these partners, and we have a very strong training engine in place, where we've got regional trainers across the country, and we've got our own learning management system where partners can come on board, get trained on how to get started on in terms of our portal and the business. The idea is to ensure that these people feel comfortable getting onboarded, and we also have a team in place which ensures on an ongoing basis whatever issues and challenges these partners face, both from a technical perspective and a product perspective, they get the support from a team to get started.
Well, sir, if we look at the lending landscape specifically in the last 5 to 7 years, a lot of transformations have happened, and every day a new system is coming into the place, be it UPI 2.0, AI is coming into the picture in this lending landscape. So how do you see the transformation happening in the rural financial ecosystem and what more needs to be done?
I think artificial intelligence is not a fad anymore. It's here to stay. It's moving at a pace which is unimaginable. It is unimaginable. And we believe that today every functional process in every organization will have to adopt artificial intelligence as a way of life, right? The good news is that you don't have to develop from scratch. Most of the tools are available. It's just a question of you getting used to the tools and really ensuring that your business processes can get aligned to it. As far as rural fintech is concerned, we think artificial intelligence can play a huge role. And one of the reasons is, if you look at the lending landscape, there are two kinds of customers. One is a customer who has a typical CIBIL, has a credit bureau, digital history. It's relatively easy for a NBFC or a bank or any lending organization to give a loan basis that data. But we're talking about a very large pool of customers who don't have a digital history, who don't maybe not having CIBIL. So artificial intelligence helps a lot in terms of looking at data points which are not from a traditional banking perspective valid, but it helps you building up a credit history basis, looking at things like his bank statements, what's the kind of activity happening in his bank statements, looking at things like his GST returns, if he's doing GST returns. So looking at different data points which are not a part of the traditional credit bureau check, and basis that kind of providing loans. And we think that artificial intelligence will play a phenomenal role in terms of allowing players like us to start giving credit to customers as well as partners. And we think it's the best thing which could have happened to us providing financial services to this large segment of customers.
Well, sir, let's be hopeful for the coming years down the line in this direction.
Yeah. One more point was on the UPI. You talked about UPI. I think UPI is again one of the most innovative technology platform which has come to India. But specifically from a rural perspective, more relating to merchants, I think the two advantages UPI 2.0 brings on the table is, number one is it allows micro retailers now to use their OD limit accounts to be able to make purchases which they could not do in the regular process. Earlier they had to use their savings account to make transactions. Now they can link their UPI account also to the OD accounts, and therefore they can make transactions basis the kind of OD limit they've got. The second very innovative thing on UPI 2.0 is the fact that UPI 2.0 allows now micro retailers to send invoices to the customers prior to them making a payment. In the past, all of us deal with micro retailers, with kirana stores, etc. The problem we had is that we did not get the bills or the invoices on time, or it came in a parchi, and the entire so-called payment process got delayed. UPI 2.0 now allows for invoices to be generated from the system, being sent from the merchant to the customer, and therefore the process becomes very streamlined. The merchant now receives his money significantly faster than what he could in the past. Clearly, artificial intelligence, UPI 2.0, all the new so-called trends which are coming in are going to be tremendous tools for us to improve and increase the space of financial inclusion going forward.
Very well noted, sir. Now let's dig a little deep to understand that how you are working and what are the challenges that you are facing. Specifically, you are serving the underserved, and if we see that there are a lot of barriers, be it the digital literacy, financial literacy, and it is a little bit challenging to deliver the products to them. And on the other hand, you have to deal with the banks, the financial institutions, to develop a trust at their end, so that they can divert or maybe interest you for the customers that they are having. So could you please explain that how you are tackling challenges at both the ends?
See, I think one of the biggest challenge which we've had over the last few years, and the challenge we continue to face, is adoption of digital literacy, given the fact that digital initiatives today are still at the inception phase, and for every good thing which happens, there is, you might say, a typical what you call as a headwind which also gets created. So obviously, digital also has got its own challenges in terms of scamsters and people, fraudsters coming into the picture. And that's one area which we have to be very, very careful of, because while digital literacy has spread a lot and people are now using UPI, etc., the quantum of frauds which customers have to go through has also increased over the years. And therefore, building up that trust becomes very critical. How do people feel comfortable using digital technology, given the fact that they fear that once they open up their accounts and they open up their sensitive information to this platform, that remains with them going forward. So a lot of the issues we face at the same time is not linked to the platform. It's how the usage of the customer is, in terms of not sharing passwords and ensuring that your personal information is not shared with multiple people. And that is one thing which we have to spend a lot of time, effort, energy on, to ensure that whether it's our retailers or our customers today are made aware of the fact that digital transformation initiatives are great, but you have to be careful. You have to ensure that you're not being careless about the way you're using your data. And I think that's one challenge which we feel that is something we have to take on a daily basis. But we are hopeful that with technology becoming more robust, going forward, I think some of these issues will be tackled far more simpler. So I think that would be one big challenge, which is how do we adopt. The other, of course, challenge is this entire thing about ensuring that we can train and enable people on the new products and services. As far as we are concerned, we started from a basic payments company where we provide basic financial payment services to our customers, but now we move to more evolved products like insurance and mutual funds, and in the future we're getting into the concept world of stockbroking, etc. A lot of effort and energy is required in training the people, right? Because I think there are two Indias. One is the India which we see in the metros, and then what you see is India in the smaller cities. The smaller cities still need a lot of assisted touch. They still are comfortable going to partners and agents to kind of understand processes better. So we're seeing two waves of digitization. One is digitizing our partners so that they can serve the customers better. And the second phase would be when you directly reach out to customers once they are comfortable with using digital technologies. That to me would be the second phase. So that I would say would be the second issue which we're grappling with. And I think it's an iterative process, something all companies have to invest in. That would be, to me, the second barrier or issue which we're facing currently in our efforts to move forward.
So you highlighted one of the critical aspects, which is trust.
Yes.
Right. So let's talk more about it.
Yeah.
Like what kind of steps that you are taking to build that trust, and how far do you see the roadmap lies to reach there, or we are already there, and new things needs to be done. Second, a lot of cash logistics are involved in your business. Although this is not new, ATMs were there, and it is happening since very long. But since this is a new infrastructure that is coming into the lending landscape, so would you like to share with us that how you are tackling both these aspects?
I think one of the biggest things which when it comes to financial services, especially in smaller locations, is trust. Because if you want to expand any business, the biggest so-called marketing tool there is word of mouth, right? So people essentially may not believe a large advertisement, but they'll believe what their person next door has experienced as far as the services you've created. We've seen really trust moving in two phases. The first phase was a difficult phase where customers had their sense of suspicion, cynicism with the model. They weren't too sure whether we're just another company which is coming in there. And but of late, because of the fact that in terms of what has been delivered to these customers, in terms of products and services, the fact that they've been going to this particular banking point for the last multiple years, they've been seeing the bank accounts being aligned to the kind of transactions they're doing. Our retailers today, we do close to 7 million transactions in a month. Along with every transaction, they get their incentive. So they don't have to wait for weeks and months to get their monies. So a lot of trust has been built up purely on the basis of the systems you've developed and the fact that what you say is what you deliver. I think people, what they're really looking for is jo aap keh rahe ho or jo kar rahe ho, is there integrity to that. And if you do it over a period of time, that's where trust gets built up, right? So we've realized that instead of spending a lot of money on the marketing side, it's better to spend money on the fundamentals, getting your systems in place, getting your training infrastructure in place, ensuring what is being committed is being delivered. And once you do that, I think the word of mouth spreads like wildfire. You do something great, it'll spread like wildfire. You do something bad, it'll spread like wildfire. The challenge we face is that we're talking about dealing and transacting and supporting 3.5 lakh retailers. To ensure that their trust stays with us over a long period of time is always a big challenge, right? So we have to continuously invest in the right systems, processes, and I think to me the biggest investment from our side is around the area of training. And to that extent, we've invested a lot of money on the training side. But that to me would be the key challenge going forward in terms of enhancing our trust going forward. And how well we do a job there will really determine what is the perception that the customers and the retailers have on us.
So you mentioned about the fundamentals, so that excites me to put up this question: that is that AI technology and the new innovations is into the system specifically for in-house development, because the set of customer that you are dealing with, they need some physical intervention, and this is something that is building the trust for them. But in today's ecosystem, like, technology is the key driver. So tell us that what new innovations and what new different tools you are bringing into the picture to build a robust mechanism.
One of the you might say the 3-4 areas we're looking at developing the technology. Artificial intelligence obviously is something which is relatively new. We're looking at creating our own so-called artificial intelligence-based chatbots in vernacular language. Because today, like I said, we do about close to 70 million transactions in a month. The number of escalations in issues, technical issues with partners face is obviously running into lakhs. So we think a lot of the processes could be automated and systematic using AI chatbot. So one of the things we're now partnering with IIT Delhi is to create a very solid vernacular-based chatbot, which can enable that a lot of the transactions, queries, etc., can be managed through this chatbot mechanism. So that, I would say, would be the first step, first area of investment we're looking at. The second area of investment we're looking at is going to be around the area of digitizing and providing, creating credit scores and credit rating of customers using, like I said, alternative data points. So looking at GST returns, looking at the bank statement analysis and those kind of pieces. So that to me is the second area which we kind of digitize. Our vision and dream is that hopefully 3 to 4 years from now, you've got your Sybil, Expedia and Equifax, which is for the customers who are transacting with banks and BFCs. We create an alternative credit rating for these customers, where you say that just because a customer doesn't have a Sybil doesn't mean he's not good in terms of rating. We create our own rating so-called framework, which can now enable a lot of NBFCs to go use that so-called framework to go and lend to customers. So I think that to me would be the third initiative, which is really looking at credit rating. AI is to me going to flow into every product and technology we use. Just give you a case in point, we do rail ticket bookings, right? And rail ticket bookings, we do lakhs of customers in a year. But the challenge a lot of customers face is that when they're booking a ticket, for example, is that let's say they have a wait listing from Delhi to, let's say, Bombay of, let's say, 20. Now they don't know if that wait list, what is the probability that I will get my ticket confirmed given the fact my wait list is 20. So we're building an engine which is going to use generative AI and is going to use machine learning to look at data points over the last multiple years to say what is the probability of a customer having a wait list of, let's say, 20 on a particular sector, which therefore will enable him to say whether he wants to go with a waste-rated option, or does he want to look at an alternative option given the probability levels. If it's a low probability, he can look at an airline option. If it is a high probability, he could still go with that particular ticket. So I think in every aspect of our business, whether it's chatbot support, whether it's in terms of our lending, developing a smarter engine on the lending side, whether it's our travel products, we are incorporating this generative AI and artificial intelligence framework to really improve our levels of productivity and able to serve our customers better.
So nowadays, the rural digital infrastructure is something with which all the banks and BFCs and even the big techs are focusing, and government is also very aggressive in this direction, promoting and pushing the institutions to bring more and more for this particular set of customers. So amid this setup, how do you see Roinet Solution standing and remain agile and relevant in this particular space?
See, first of all, as far as digital infrastructure is concerned, obviously whether it's NPCI, whether it's Reserve Bank, whether it's any of these institutions, they have done a phenomenal job in building up what they call as the rails around which private players like us can build up the engines on top of it. Whether it's Aadhaar-enabled payment system, whether it's UPI, whether it's NEFT, whether it's RTGS, they've created a phenomenal infrastructure. Now it's up to players like us to build up capabilities on top of it. As an organization, we've already realized that artificial intelligence is the current and the future. And as an organization, you cannot now not do without it. That's not an option anymore. So from our perspective, we've already so-called re-engineered our organization to ensure that we are incorporating or trying to incorporate these latest tools into our product development piece, latest tools into our customer service piece. We are also now looking at incorporating these tools into human resource piece, whether it's in terms of selection of the right candidates, etc. We are using this very solidly as far as our audit piece is concerned, risk piece is concerned. The concept of risk and audit is a big challenge which organizations like us face, because you are already you're always hiring 6,000 partners every month, and there's always this 1% of partners today who could not be the right set of partners, who've got not the right intentions to come into your business. Your ability to identify those people, ensure that you have a clean system in place, is where AI comes in. And in this direction, again, we had partnered with IIT Patna to develop a system for us which is enabling us now to ensure that our partner selection is better, our risks and frogs are minimized. And the good news is that already in the last 1.5 years, because of implementation of some of the techniques, our risk of fraud amount has gone down almost 85%. So clearly we're seeing these technologies helping us in the real world and are enabling us, ensuring that we can serve our customers better.
So let's talk about now on the operational and regulatory front. So RBI has also been very active in terms of giving new directions and circulars for BCs as well as on the technology front. So would you like to share any bottlenecks that you have encountered in this particular direction? And secondly, are there any expectation that you have from regulator to smoothen your business in coming years down the line?
Yeah, so I think what's really happening is a lot of BCs like us serve multiple banks. And the challenge we face is that every bank has its own set of KRAs, BFTs, and processes to follow in terms of whether it's in terms of hiring of BCs, training of BCs. So therefore, if I'm dealing with 10 banks, then I have to go through 10 different processes and systems to kind of support those banks. I think if RBI could look at really simplifying and creating a common set of processes and systems which the banks could follow, so that it makes it easier for partners like us to ensure that we can, therefore, when we're going to the ground, we have a single set of KRAs and BFTs to follow. So that to me could be a major enablement in terms of serving our partners. The second piece is, I think that, again, this is a much bigger piece, but I think that we are talking about micro retailers and customers who are really serving the underserved. And I think maybe the government needs to look at the tax liability, which is the GST component on such transactions, and seeing how that can be kind of made lower, because we have to ensure that now we can provide the service at the lowest possible cost. And I think that could be one area where potentially the government could look at looking at this particular aspect. It will be of tremendous utility to the millions of partners who are there in the marketplace. So these two areas, I think, is where the government oblique the banks could help us in terms of moving forward. The third area is more from a product perspective. I personally think that the banks now need to start looking at this so-called Bharat customers in a different light. They need to have just like they have a basic saving account which allowed for only a certain quantum of transactions to be done. I think they should now look at basic loans and basic working capital support to be given to these customers, and therefore they should be re-looking at the parameters they're using for giving loans, because I feel that this so-called base of customers is so large. They are the future of India, and if you can actually get these people to be be provided with capital and build up small businesses, I think we could look at a very different India going forward.
Well, sir, thank you so much for giving your valuable time and decoding the crucial aspects for business correspondents in this ecosystem. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.